Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive paradox surrounding one of the most successful luxury brands on the planet. We're talking about a company that literally rewrote the manufacturing rulebook, completely ignoring conventional wisdom on how massive corporations are supposed to maximize returns.
Let's just dive right into this contradiction immediately because it's wild. On one hand, Porsche builds significantly fewer cars than its major global competitors. You won't find any massive, everyday household production volumes here. But on the other hand, they pull in more profit per vehicle than almost anyone else out there. We're talking about routine operating margins way north of 15 to 18%, and honestly often far higher on select models. So you really have to ask yourself, how on earth does a company manufacturing significantly fewer products manage to lead the entire industry in pure profit?
Well, how exactly did they achieve such an incredible financial standing? It definitely wasn't an accident, and it for sure didn't happen overnight. Today, we're going to decode their absolute masterclass in strategy, breaking down this incredible journey into 5 distinct phases. Let's kick things off with Phase 1, designing an automotive icon.
To really understand their modern success, we first have to look at the historical foundation of their engineering. This flawlessly traces back from Ferdinand Porsche's visionary first designs, straight through a rapid era of early engineering innovations, and right up to the birth of the legendary 911 in 1963. Actually, fun fact here, Ferdinand Porsche designed an electric car way back in 1898. It just goes to show that pushing the technological envelope was literally always in their bloodstream. Every single decision in these early years was about establishing an uncompromising standard of absolute precision.
And then came the 911, which completely shifted the automotive world. They found this absolute perfect sweet spot, the exact intersection where pure adrenaline-pumping performance meets high-end, sophisticated luxury. The 911 wasn't just a car, it established their baseline DNA. That exact blend created a bedrock of incredibly fierce brand loyalty that absolutely continues to sustain them today.
But, the celebratory era didn't last forever. That brings us to Phase 2, surviving the 1990s crisis.
By the early 1990s, the company was actually teetering right on the edge of bankruptcy. Sales rapidly plummeted to roughly 14,000 cars a year globally. To put that in perspective, that is a terrifyingly low number for a global automaker. The old ways were suddenly failing, and the legacy of the 911 alone just wasn't going to keep the lights on. To survive into the 21st century, they realized they couldn't just tweak their strategy, they had to execute an urgent, massive brand pivot.
And that survival strategy took the form of Phase 3, the ultimate SUV gamble.
They did the unthinkable. They decided to launch the Cayenne. For a brand built entirely on sleek, low-to-the-ground sports cars, rolling out a heavy 2.5-ton SUV felt like absolute heresy to a lot of people. To the loyalists, it fundamentally challenged what the sports car brand stood for. The purists were practically clutching their pearls.
But you have to contrast that intense purist backlash against the undeniable business reality. The purists revolted, completely convinced the brand was selling out its heritage. But the Cayenne? It brought in record profits and triggered a massive global expansion. The gamble worked flawlessly. Ironically enough, this highly controversial SUV became the exact cash-generating financial engine that allowed Porsche to keep building those niche sports cars the purists love so much in the first place.
Which perfectly sets up our next major pivot. Phase 4, the electric luxury shift.
Because consumer demands never stop evolving, they had to aggressively push into the future. So they expanded boldly into electric vehicles, most notably by launching the Taycan. And the sheer brilliance of this move? By capturing global luxury EV demand and leaning into deep technology innovation, they secured their modern foothold without losing an ounce of their identity. They proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the true soul of a Porsche can absolutely exist within a battery electric platform.
So let's tie it all together in Phase 5, the architecture of profitability.
This is the crucial part. Understanding the macro-level architecture of how this all actually makes money today. It rests securely on 4 pillars. First up, limited production. They purposefully never flood the market. Second, that exact restraint directly creates incredibly high profit margins. Third, premium pricing is effortlessly maintained simply because demand constantly outpaces supply. And finally, strong brand loyalty holds the whole shebang together. It is the absolute perfect proof that strategic scarcity drives incredible margins.
Which brings us right to a fascinating economic concept known as the Porsche paradox. Simply put, selling fewer products can actually create far greater financial success. By having the absolute discipline to say no to making a vehicle for everyone, they can charge a serious premium to the select few who actually desire one. Less volume, ironically, equals way more success.
It really all boils down to this fantastic quote from our source material. Luxury isn't about volume, it's about value. That powerful takeaway perfectly sums up their entire overarching strategy. When a company focuses relentlessly on unmatched heritage, premium quality, and absolute performance, the sheer volume of products sold simply becomes secondary.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to consider this. How could this exact same less is more approach apply to other industries outside of the automotive world? I mean, think about it. Whether you're in tech, fashion, consulting, or software, how might limiting your output to focus strictly on premium quality, intense brand loyalty, and high margins revolutionize your own profitability? Let that idea marinate for a bit.